open mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents The Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And welcome to the Open Mic Show. Yes, judging from my voice, third broadcast with this cold that's going around. I'm your host, Tim Coco. Great show coming up tonight, if I must say so myself, but maybe you will too when you hear about the lineup. Letriah Masters is coming on the program right after the news at 7 o'clock. Very, very talented artist. She's you've heard her on the program, haven't seen her. She was in the control room when the Haverhill Cultural Council was on the program, and there's some exciting things that Letriah Masters and friends are up to coming up November 12th, a free concert, but there's more. I understand we have audio only on Channel 22. Another program note is we're not running, WHAV is not running the live Facebook feed tonight. That's a technical issue that was using way too much of our internet bandwidth. We're going to work on that problem. We actually need Comcast help, and that hasn't been forthcoming so far. But again, welcome to the Open Mic Show. Chris Porter is producing as usual in Master Control. He'll take your telephone calls. This is the day we give away the Albee second-generation Italian bakery cake. Yes, so this is your last chance until 8:15 tonight. If you know someone is having a birthday in November, or a couple having an anniversary in November, and you haven't already called them in, please do so. 978-374-1900. 978-374-1900. And they could win a free 7-inch cake, choice of vanilla or chocolate, from Albee second-generation Italian bakery. There's nothing to buy. It is a gift from the Open Mic Show, and really couldn't be done without Albee second-generation Italian bakery that provides these at no cost to WHAV or the listeners. It's just a way of saying happy birthday or happy anniversary. All kinds of things to talk about on this Halloween, October 31st, in the city of Haverhill. Did any of you catch the War of the Worlds broadcast on WHAV 97.9 FM last night? Rather historic. It's the 1938 broadcast that panicked the nation. CBS put on the program. Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air presented it as sort of a Halloween special. They thought that doing simulated news bulletins, that everyone would know that they weren't serious, but no, millions of people, not in Massachusetts, really, because the CBS affiliate here didn't run the program, according to our historian David Goudsward. But in other parts of the country, many were in panic, thinking the Martians had invaded Earth. So Orson Welles, the Mercury Theater on the air, talking about the Martian invasion based on H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. All right, some kind of special coming up on Channel 22. It'd be nice if we could just coordinate this and get some advance notice. But nevertheless, 97.9 FM heard in Greater Haverhill, all the towns surrounding Haverhill, and a bit further. So be sure to stay tuned, because Letriah Masters is joining us right after the news at 7. And give away the Albee second-generation Italian bakery cake at about 8:15. All right, besides 97.9 FM, you can also listen to WHAV at WHAV.net. Anywhere you see a pair of headphones on the web page at WHAV.net, you can click to listen to the stream. There's also a listen page under TuneIn where you can pick some other options. Perhaps you have your own software you'd like to use rather than the built-in player, and that can be accommodated too. If you're in any one of the communities carrying WHAV sound on cable television, such as Andover, Atkinson, sometimes Haverhill, Methuen, Plasto, Sandown, then you also have an opportunity to hear WHAV behind those informational bulletin boards when they're on. If you have one of those high-tech televisions, and almost everyone seems to these days, you can use your TuneIn app. You go to the App Store or the Download App section on your television, and you can use TuneIn. It works on Samsung, Panasonic, Roku, Sonos, even the Xbox One, a game platform. If you have Apple TV, even easier, just choose Internet Radio at the bottom of your menu, then Golden Oldies, and WHAV. You can also use TuneIn on any one of your smartphones, whether it's an iPhone, Android phone, Windows phone, BlackBerry. You can listen to WHAV there. We won't spend too much time on that. There's also iTunes. I guess I could keep going. WHAV is heard everywhere. And the new FM 97.9, many calls and emails. People are very, very excited that WHAV is back on FM after more than 20 years of being away from the FM band. That is all taken care of now. Program note, some of you may have attended the Haverhill-Whittier Club's 132nd annual meeting yesterday at Whittier Birthplace in Haverhill. If you missed it, you missed a great program with Mandy Whittier Breton. She's a 12th generation descendant of Thomas Whittier, who built Whittier Birthplace in 1688. All kinds of fun facts came out of that discussion. Mandy told us that Thomas Whittier was, especially in that day and age, was elderly. He was 68 years old, and in 1688, that was up there. Sometimes it's up there now, but is the new 68 is now the new 58 or 48 or something today. At least I'll be telling myself that when I approach it. But Thomas Whittier was actually rather instrumental in the early governance of Haverhill. Well, if you missed it, no need to fret, because WHAV is running the Whittier Club meeting Wednesday night, right here on 97.9 FM, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So you can hear Mandy Whittier Breton's discussion of her research on Thomas Whittier. That's John Greenleaf Whittier's great-great-grandfather, and the man who built the home where Whittier was born much later. So there's a program note. Now, speaking of the Whittier Club meeting, I say it's a tradition now because we've done it 2 or 3 times, but before every Whittier Club meeting, Augustine, Gus as we all know, Roosh, who, by the way, is being honored by the YMCA November 15th during their Educator of the Year event. He was a long-time Haverhill teacher. Maybe some of you had Mr. Roosh as your teacher. Maybe you want to relate some stories about how great he is. We all think he's great. He's the curator of Whittier Birthplace, and he reads a poem at every Whittier Club meeting, just twice a year. And this year, I found it fascinating because, Whittier seemed to write about everything, sort of the Dan Spears of his day. There's a shout-out to Dan Spears. I think he should be Haverhill's Poet Laureate today. But John Greenleaf Whittier wrote a poem called The Poor Voter. on Election Day. And well, this year, I don't know how you feel about it. The poor, referring to wealth or the lack thereof, as opposed to the beleaguered voter that may be taking place this year. I thought you might want to hear. Chris will put up a photo of Gus as Gus is actually reading the poem. It's just a still photo for those of you watching on television or on WHAV.TV. That's how you can watch, since it doesn't seem to be on Channel 22, and it isn't going to be on Facebook till we resolve some problems. But Gus Roosh, he read this poem.
Proudest now is but my peer, the highest not more high. Today, of all the weary year, a king of men am I. Today, alike are great and small, the nameless and the known. My palace is the people's hall, the ballot box my throne. Who serves today upon the list beside the served shall stand, alike the brown and wrinkled fist, the gloved and dainty hand. The rich is level with the poor, the weak is strong today, and sleekest broadcloth counts no more than homespun frock of gray. Today, let pomp and vain pretense my stubborn right abide. I set a plain man's common sense against the pedant's pride. Today, shall simple manhood try the strength of gold and land. The wide world has not wealth to buy the power in my right hand. While there's a grief to seek redress, or balance to adjust, where weighs our living manhood less than mammon's vilest dust. While there's a right to need my vote, a wrong to sweep away, up, clouted knee and ragged coat, a man's a man today.
Gus Roosh,
Vote.
curator of
We all
Whittier
have to
Birthplace. A wonderful, I'm hearing other sounds. I don't know where they're coming from. Can you hear them, Chris? All right, just in my own headphones, or just in my own head. All right. But anyway, it's true for the most part that election days are the great equalizers. Doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, whether you have a nice home or not. The voters are even. But what I don't think Whittier quite expected all this time later is that corporations would have so much power thanks to Supreme Court decisions like Citizens United, and the lobbying groups and the groups like ALEC that have so much sway over our legislators. But at least we can vote. And perhaps eventually we'll have enough votes for and enough say for a constitutional amendment to get rid of Citizens United. I don't know whether you're on the left or the right or the center. You probably agree that big corporations should not be running the United States of America. And so we have an election coming up, and it certainly got complicated Friday when the FBI director said, there's some more emails. I don't know what's in them. I don't have a right to look at them because I don't have a search warrant. But we're just going to put this out there and about Hillary Clinton, and we'll let the pieces fall where they may. Well, I don't normally get into that kind of discussion, but both sides are saying you said nothing, but you've left this cloud of suspicion. So I think both sides, both the Trump side and the Hillary Clinton side, are saying, if you got something to say, Mr. FBI Director, say it. Now, Reid, the former Speaker of the House, said that this is probably a violation of the law because it has such an impact before an election that could possibly swing one. It's a violation of the Hatch Act. I don't normally get into national politics on this program, but if you have a thought on it, call 978-374-1900. Or if you want to talk about Gus Rouge, call 978-374-1900. All kinds of things, open lines until Letriah Masters appears on the Open Mic Show just after 7 o'clock tonight. But we have to take a brief break right now for this day in Massachusetts history. Always a good listen. We'll be right back.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
97.9 WHAV is the only FM station assigned to the city of Haverhill. Your membership is critical to continued operation. It's easy to join. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
Catch the wave!
On air or online, WHAV serves you. All day long, keep up to date with tenacious but objective local reporting from the only Haverhill-based news source. Find out about civic and charitable events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour, and better prepare with wave weather heard every 30 minutes. For talk, there's Tom Hartman weekdays at noon, the Open Mic Show every Monday night, and David Packman Tuesday through Friday nights. And there's more. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of soft gold music radiates day and night. Only local radio can bring you this combination of music, news, and features, but only WHAV does.
Today is October 31st. On this day in 1789, George Washington concluded a 10-day presidential visit to Massachusetts. Adoring crowds of grateful citizens greeted him everywhere. People preserved the dishes he used, the chairs he sat in, and the beds he slept in. Only Governor John Hancock slighted the president, insisting that since he was head of the Commonwealth, Washington should come to visit him. Hancock soon saw the error of his ways. The day after the president's arrival in Boston, Hancock belatedly paid his respects. His legs covered in bandages, he claimed an excruciating attack of gout had prevented him from welcoming the president. In the interest of promoting unity, Washington accepted the explanation with characteristic grace. For more about this and other Mass Moments, go online to massmoments.org. Brought to you by the Massachusetts Foundation for the Humanities.
Catch the wave! WHAV! Open mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic Show. Again, I'm your host, Tim Coco. Remember, the only reliable way to find out what's going on in Haverhill is to listen to 97.9 WHAV, especially tonight, because it looks like we're going to be interrupted completely on Channel 22. And I know many of you have just gotten into the habit of getting into the comfortable chair and using the TV remote, but try using your radio. Matter of fact, pass that word along to as many people as you can. WHAV 97.9 is nonprofit community radio, which is why there's news, local news all day long. News you cannot hear or see or read anywhere else but WHAV 97.9 and WHAV.net. Now, I don't want to sound like a certain Chamber of Commerce president with all this bragging. It isn't intended to be that. What it is, sorry, Joe, what it is, though, is people have gotten into the habit with WHAV not being on strong radio for quite some time. People have gotten out of the habit. They use some various apps, or they use Facebook, or they use Channel 22, and not tonight apparently. But so rely on your radio, 97.9 WHAV FM, and you'll be sure not to miss any of the happenings. And tonight, some great things happening. Letriah Masters is coming on the program right after the news at 7 o'clock. We're going to learn quite a bit about this great talent. And I have to tell you, and this is seriously honest, I had no idea how great a voice Letriah Masters had until I heard her sing at Mayor Fiorentini's Columbus Day event. What a treat. Absolutely what a treat. But, you know, there's more talent there than that, and we're going to learn more about that tonight on the Open Mic Show right after the news. Okay, we have about 9 minutes. Let's try to squeeze in a telephone call. You are on the Open Mic.
Thank you, Tim, very much.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. Always good to hear from our environmental consultant.
Yes, I was going to talk about the Bakken Island issue with the impact at our American Indians and the farmers out there in North Dakota, but I made a by chance call today because of the thing that I want most before I pass is to have some kind of an agreement between New Hampshire and Massachusetts about, during drought situations, about releasing water,
You've made a good point of this. They preserve the water up there at Lake Winnipesaukee.
That's right. They don't. The only water that got out of the Lake Winnipesaukee was through the leaking flashboards, and that's and you can understand New Hampshire's vision, right? It's tourism that they make their living on tourism and boating and fishing and hiking, etc.
No, absolutely.
But they have to realize that the Merrimack River doesn't end at the New Hampshire-Massachusetts line. It goes all the way to Newburyport. And there are how many million people depend on the Merrimack River for drinking water, and farmers for agricultural use. And it's really sad.
Well, let me ask you this. You're our environmental consultant, and it sounds like you're branching out nationally. What was your thought on the Dakota situation?
I think I'll give you an example. When we took all the land, when the Commonwealth took all the land that built Quabbin Reservoir, correct?
That's 4 towns came off the map.
Pardon?
4 towns came off the map.
Yes. In addition to that, the 4 graveyards from those towns, all the remains were transferred to other burial grounds.
Actually, they consolidated in one very haphazardly, which I guess still rankles families to this day.
Is that right? I didn't know that. I just know that they did that.
They moved them all to a brand new consolidated cemetery, and people to this day say there's no rhyme or reason. It's not by town, it's not by name. They just seem almost haphazardly thrown in a new place.
But do you think taking of the lands was a good cause?
Well,
I really do.
I think I know where you're going with this, and it's really tough to say because
35 plus cities and towns provided drinking water.
It couldn't happen today. People are protective, but it was a great
project. I was in charge of it. We had a project. We were going to build a reservoir in Linfield. It was going to handle, I don't know how many communities around Ipswich, Essex, Stoneham, Reading, and all those communities. It was called not the housing project, but it was actually caused like It was called the 40B project. The land in Linfield was all bought and paid for, and the plans for a water filtration plant to treat the water were approved, but it never went anyway. And I made a lot of speeches before the Ipswich River Watershed Association, but it never happened.
When was that?
Oh, well, many, many years ago. I can remember because I made a very good speech, and like you say, it would never happen today. As they say, not in my backyard, NIMBY.
Yeah.
Right? NIMBY.
Now, to your question, though, Quabbin is a difficult one for me because what existed before probably should not have been touched. To take 4 towns off the map, to relocate families, to move burial grounds. But what they created afterward is just so amazing. The hills in those towns became islands. And the engineering is incredible all these years later.
You know what the other alternatives were? One was Lake Winnipesaukee. What do you think of that?
Well, maybe.
And they had all the rights.
Well, maybe it would have.
I have the report to the Commonwealth. I managed to, when I was leaving DEP, they were throwing out a lot of books, and I come across this one. I said, "Gee, can't throw this away. This is the whole beginning of Quabbin." They were looked at Winnipesaukee, but the land like the pipeline, right, in North Dakota. They couldn't get people to sell their land to build the aqueduct. And then the second alternative was the Merrimack River. And that, how many years ago that was and how polluted it was then.
No, absolutely.
Well, to the very last minute, Tim, the Merrimack River was going to be the alternative. And at the last minute, the Boston politicians pushed the other alternative, which was, taking of the towns in Western Massachusetts. And to this day, a lot of people from Western Massachusetts have never forgiven the area, the 35 cities and towns that comprise of the MWRA.
No, actually, and I another good point to make about that is it happened during the Depression.
Exactly.
The townspeople might have put up a stronger fight, but at a certain point, they were out of work, and there was this one railroad, what was it called, the Rabbit, that ran through there.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, they just, for the most part, threw their hands in the air and said,
because they've had to put food on the table.
we'll take the money because it's the only thing we're going to get.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe it could have happened in 2008 when things bottomed out here.
I don't think so, Tim. I really don't think so.
But we have about a minute to the hour. You brought up the Dakota Access Pipeline, and I want to see how you connect the dots.
I feel very badly about the North American Indians from the Sioux. It's the Sioux.
The Standing Rock Sioux. It's their reservation.
Exactly.
And
it's
a
their reservation.
$3.7 billion investment to move crude oil through those 4 states.
Shale fraction.
And,
You know how many chemicals they use in fracturing?
I have heard.
Chemicals that I've never even heard of, and I'm sure that there's no LD50's been down on those, or the EPA hasn't really looked at them.
But to connect the dots, what is happening with this reservation in North Dakota is they're going to lose...
They're going 1,100 miles.
They're going to lose their rights just as the 4 towns in Massachusetts lost their identities. And what's interesting is that unlike the Massachusetts fight, I think it was 1927 where the last hearings were held, this one here, there's all kinds of dirty politics that were...
yes, nepotism, not only nepotism, but conflict of interest. The governor of Texas is very good friends with the governor of Iowa. The Iowa Board of Utilities approved, not only did they approve, they approved the right of eminent domain. I never heard of it, really, for a private entity,
No,
I
and this
couldn't
is where, of
believe it
course,
when I read about it.
I mean, this
that
is, of
they
course,
actually-
another decision of the Supreme Court that allowed for this very widespread interpretation of eminent domain.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a loosey-goosey interpretation.
it used to be that we took land for a public purpose. Now we take land for a profitable purpose.
Corporation Big Oil.
That's right.
In this, what is it called? Energy Transfer is the main company, but they also have a couple of partners who you can recognize pretty easily. One is Sunoco and the other is Phillips.
I'm afraid, Jerry, we have to. I'm afraid we have to break for news.
Pacoda, Illinois, 1,100, over 1,137 miles.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
You know, you almost had a pipeline through Haverhill, you know.
No, actually, and it's funny, there's still a loop for the one that was canceled. That's right.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Jerry, but we
go down to Salem Power.
I'm afraid we have to go to news, Jerry, because the FCC is making me stay with my schedule. But
yes, okay.
If you could call back after our guest, we'd love to talk some more.
No. Next week we'll talk because my call was to the director of Merrimack River Watershed, and I was able to talk to him personally for 20 or 30 minutes about the Merrimack, and he's very interested. He might be my knight in shining armor, you know.
Well, perhaps you and he could come on the program.
He would be a great one. He's an attorney. Besides, he's an attorney.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's do that soon.
Let's think about it.
Call me offline, and we'll work that out.
Give him some time to get his feet on the ground.
All right. Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you. That sounds like an interesting topic. It does seem to come up, and it does have some effect on national headlines. But right now, let's go to national and local news. Our own news director, Dana Esmo, with local weather, and then we'll be back with Letriah Masters right here on the Open Mic Show.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:02.
WHAV LP Haverhill. WHAV is a nonprofit community service of Public Media of New England, Incorporated.
Here's what's happening in local news. New interior signage could come to Haverhill City Hall if the City Council Tuesday approves a $15,000 capital improvement project proposed by the city. Haverhill Purchasing Director and Energy Manager Orlando Pacheco seeks to have updated signage tailored to specific building entries as guidance for those doing business at City Hall to reflect in part relocated offices. Mayor James J. Fiorentini supports Pacheco's request for a $15,000 transfer from a city capital projects account to pay for the project. Also on Tuesday's meeting agenda, councilors are asked to approve a round of step salary and wage increases for the city's engineering, highway, park, and inspectional nurses collective bargaining groups. According to ordinances filed 2 weeks ago, engineering and highway park union positions are to receive a 4.6% pay raise over 3 years. The engineering group agreement is retroactive to the start of fiscal 2015 to the current fiscal year, while a salary schedule for highway and park workers covers the current fiscal year to fiscal 2019. Meanwhile, a one-year agreement for inspectional and nursing employees would bring a 1.7% pay raise in the current fiscal year. The Haverhill City Council meets at 7 p.m. Tuesday in Theodore A. Pelosi Jr. Council Chambers at Haverhill City Hall. Former Haverhill Mayor John J. Guerin Jr. has been hired as Membership Services Director of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. Guerin, a lifelong Haverhill resident, begins November 1st. Quote, "We are excited to bring John on board with the Chamber. He brings a wealth of experience and perspective to this position. Our commitment is not only to grow our chamber, but to retain and nurture the many businesses and entrepreneurs that we proudly serve. We believe that John fits that role very well, said Chamber President and CEO Beverly J. Donovan. Prior to joining the Chamber, Guerin spent several years as an independent contractor and consultant, most recently directing the Capital Campaign to support the construction of the new Opportunity Works campus behind and abutting Northern Essex Community College in Haverhill. There is more at WHAV.net. An 8-year-old child is clinging to life as his mother desperately seeks help paying for expert medical care to treat his advanced brain cancer. Formerly of Haverhill and now living in Manchester, New Hampshire, Jeremiah has been battling a rare form of brain cancer for a year and 3 months. A recent surge of the cancer's growth has left him blind and unable to speak. It is a crisis altogether too familiar for mother Alicia Cruzita Solis, whose 11-year-old daughter, Jarisma, succumbed to bone cancer 10 years ago this past May. Solis herself is also a cancer survivor, being diagnosed with what was thought to be a terminal case when she was only 24. She was stricken again in 2015 with breast cancer and then gastric cancer. Quote, "They truly need a miracle right now. All Massachusetts hospitals have exhausted treatments for him, and she is trying to find one to use some sort of experimental drug to save his life. That is their only hope." Nancy Jones, a childhood friend of Solis, told WHAV. Meanwhile, Solis and her husband Jerry are calling every neurologist in the country, asking to try something to save Jeremiah. The family has established an online account at GoFundMe to accept donations. The complete link appears at WHAV.net. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmel.
From Feature Story News in Los Angeles, I'm Patrice Howard. The White House is defending the director of the FBI after Democrats accused him of trying to influence the outcome of America's presidential election. FBI agents are beginning to sift through thousands of emails in a bid to discover whether they provide any fresh information about Hillary Clinton's handling of classified information when she was Secretary of State. FSN's Simon Marks reports.
The White House stepped in to defend FBI Director James Comey after a top Democrat accused him of breaking the law by relaunching the investigation into Mrs. Clinton. White House spokesman Josh Earnest.
The president doesn't believe that he's secretly strategizing to benefit one candidate or one political party. He's in a tough spot.
Now, with 8 days to go, Democrats and Republicans alike are waiting for a raft of fresh polling data to see whether the FBI's decision is moving votes away from Hillary Clinton. Simon Marks, Washington.
The United Nations child agency UNICEF estimate that 1 in 7 children around the world live in areas with high levels of air pollution. Children are believed to be impacted most by high levels of pollution, and the UN agency urges world powers to commit to using cleaner energy. FSN's William Denslow reports.
Roughly 300 million children live in areas with pollution levels at least 6 times higher than guidelines set by the World Health Organization. By using satellite imagery, the United Nations Children's Agency UNICEF also estimate that 220 million of those children live in South Asia. UNICEF state that pollution is a major factor in the deaths of about 600,000 children under 5 years old each year. Nearly 200 governments will meet in Morocco in November to discuss global warming. And UNICEF urged them to move away from fossil fuels to reduce the global exposure to pollution. William Denslow, New York.
Marcelo Crivella, an evangelical bishop, has been elected as the mayor of Rio de Janeiro. Crivella's victory shows the growing influence of the evangelical church in the world's largest Roman Catholic country. FSN's Andrea Arenas reports.
Crivella's victory shows that there is a rightward shift in Brazilian politics following the 13-year political domination of the leftist Workers' Party. The 59-year-old bishop has become a controversial figure in the country's political landscape, having criticized homosexuality and Catholicism, which is the dominant religion in Brazil. Crivella has promised to bring law, order, and basic sanitation needs to Rio de Janeiro's poorest areas. Experts say that the bishop's victory was in part the result of voter anger over a second year of economic recession and the revelation of a huge corruption scandal that involved members of the left-wing Workers' Party.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather. For the nighttime hours, generally clear skies, slowly diminishing winds, and chilly. Low temperatures down between 30 and 35 by morning. During the day Tuesday, a mix of sun and clouds, and back up between 50 and 55. Scattered clouds, low 40s on Tuesday night. Wednesday, partly sunny, milder. High temperature, low to mid-60s. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Stay informed each day with local news, coupled with FSN's worldwide coverage. WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I'm your host, Tim Coco, and in studio, you've heard her but haven't seen her on the Open Mic Show. Letriah Masters.
Hello, everyone.
Is on the program. All right, now, Letriah, I don't know if you heard my discussion of your forthcoming appearance, but I told listeners that I knew all kinds of things about you. I knew you had a nice summer series. I knew that you are chairman of the Haverhill Cultural Council.
That is true.
I did not know, and I don't know if you heard it on WHAB, but we played your singing during the Columbus Day event. Our reporter was there, and we caught some of your sound, and I was blown away.
Why, thank you. I was not aware of that, as I kind of rushed in and had to get my head in gear to sing opera before Italian dignitaries. So you can imagine I probably wasn't as aware of my surroundings as I would like to be.
Well, that's right. The consular officer was there from Italy, the Boston consular. So we ran it on WHAV News.
Wow.
And we heard you, and was it the Haverhill High School? Did the band back
That's
you
right,
up?
The chorus. Well, the chorus was there to perform their national anthem, and I was there just as an addition to open the ceremony with an Italian opera by Giacomo Puccini.
Right. Yes, I was so impressed.
Thank you.
So now we learn more about you: song, storytelling, poetry. Did I see pastry?
You did.
I've lost 20 pounds. I don't know. I'm trying to lose more, but the pastry always gets my attention. But Letriah Masters and Friends is performing. It's a coffee house evening of acoustic live music, and this takes place where?
So we're actually participating in what is already a monthly event at the Advent Christian Church. They do a coffee house there, and this will be my first time attending as well as performing there. It was a wonderful surprise. They invited me into what they were already doing, and so I've been preparing to do a 2-hour show, including some of my own originals. I'll be covering some well-known songs in America, such as What the World Needs Now Is Love by Dionne Warwick. I'll be singing also an old-time favorite for some of you perhaps, Jesus Take the Wheel by Carrie Underwood. Like I said, I'll be doing some of my own originals and some poetry as well. I've been writing poetry since 4th grade, and I actually have some published, and I'll be presenting several of those, probably about 4 of those at the event too.
I just so much talent. I'm so impressed. And I still have a cold, so I mean, I don't think it's contagious after all this time, but nevertheless, at least I have my mic switch. So this all takes place November 12th. What day of the week is that?
That is a Saturday, I believe.
Saturday, November 12th, 6:30. Letriah Masters and Friends, an evening with expressions of faith, friendship, and family at the Advent Christian Church, 160 Carleton St.
That's correct.
And that's near on the Broadway side.
Yes, if you're heading up 97, it's pretty much right there on the cusp of 495, the highway. If you reach the highway, you're seeing the church as well.
Okay, I know it's a relatively new building, although I'm getting older, so maybe it's not that new anymore. But all right, so let's find out who Letriah Masters is. Where did you grow up? And tell us your route to all of this talent.
All right, well, I am from Illinois. The S is silent for all of those who might be thinking otherwise. And I grew up in a family of 6 children. I'm the 5th, so I'm the almost baby. Number 4 girl out of 4 girls and 2 boys, and we were all a musical family. We were, my name was Jelks at that time, Letriah Jelks. So if you see me on Facebook, that's what it is.
I see. I did see that name.
So, but yeah, my father was a church organist, my brother was the drummer, and my younger brother is now an avid and just beautifully professional bassist, and I'm the songwriter in the family. We've got playwriters as well, but yeah, we just grew up singing, performing, and traveling around a little bit. Well, I mean, we didn't get too famous like the Jacksons or anything, but it was just a really great way to bond and connect. And so I've always been in the chorus. I've been writing poetry and performing that ever so often. And so how I ended up here was, well, eventually I grew up and had kids of my own and got married, of course, to the man that I met when I was 16 years old. We have 5 beautiful, amazing children. They all play instruments
high school
as well.
Sweetheart?
Well, yes, I was in high school, but he was not in my high school.
Oh, okay.
So yes, we met when we were.
We'd like to embellish the stories,
just a little bit.
Get it ready for Valentine's Day.
That's right. So yeah, we met when I was 16. He was 17, and 3 weeks after I graduated, we got married and started our family. And so 20 years later, here we are in Massachusetts. How did we end up in Haverhill, where we knew a family, a couple online for about 7 years, and we talked back and forth and found out how very much alike we were, and they lived in Haverhill, and they invited my husband to come out and see him. I couldn't come because my children were too small, and you don't put 5 babies on an airplane and expect that to go very well.
Oh, well, no, I bet many passengers were thankful even if they didn't know it. Yeah.
That's right. I chose to stay home for that trip, but I do remember getting a phone call from my husband when he said he stepped off the plane and they took the ride into Haverhill, and he just knew that this was where we were going to end up. And strangely and oddly enough, the intent was to open up a youth center for at-risk teens at the old Woodward's building, or the old Macy's building, which is now becoming the new Maslow campus.
Well, that's right, Harbor Place.
That's right.
Also, you had ideas for that, too.
We had ideas for that building, and we're happy to see what's going on.
Aren't you full of surprises? My goodness.
Hopefully that will never stop. I want to continue to surprise the people that are in our community, but so that didn't stop us. Not getting that building didn't stop us. What we did was we just got plugged into the community, which is why I'm here now. It's been about a 10 to 11 year process of serving the community, volunteering with Somebody Cares New England with Marlene Yo for 10 years, getting involved in the high schools. My husband was helping to bring in people such as Melvin Adams, who was an ex-globetrotter and became motivational speaker.
Oh, that reminds me, Chris. You provided us with some photos, and we're gonna take a break in a second. But let's get a couple of them up. First, we're going to kind of jump ahead.
Absolutely.
You've created an organization. What is that called?
Yes, the Merrimack Valley Music and Arts.
Chris, for our television viewers, has that logo. So Merrimack Valley Music and Arts. And that debuted this summer, is that right? Or
Actually, it's been about 2 years
Oh,
since
really?
that's been happening, but
There's your logo.
definitely taken a more active role this summer than it has in the past.
And this summer, we have a summer photo.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. This for our WHAV.TV viewers. We do, and then of course it'll be on YouTube tomorrow as well.
All right.
So we'll kind of get as much in. Is this the summer photo?
That was my first summer camp as an organization. I have helped to run some in previous years, but this was my first try at it as my own nonprofit. And
that's a good point.
Absolutely.
Say non-profit. Non-profit.
That's right.
So.
It was really special. It was a great opportunity because half of the kids there were scholarship kids, which is a huge part of my mission as a nonprofit, and the other half there were there because they really wanted to be there and they were excited. Everybody participated. Great group, and they were from all different kinds of demographics and walks of life. And that's exactly what I wanted. It's a great representation of the community. There's Spanish in there. There's Caucasian. There's African American in there.
For our radio listeners, I'll tell you that it's quite diverse. And even in this event, what is happening here?
So we had a photo fun day because I love just getting colorful and active. But the lightsabers, believe it or not, were a big part of the week. We put on a lightsaber battle and performed it to a song called Warriors by Imagine Dragons. I thought, you know what, there's so many times we do songs that the boys don't really like. And I wanted to do something a little bit more masculine. So we put on a show with lightsabers and choreography, and we actually had a kid there that went to Jedi camp, so he was really amazing with
There's such a thing as Jedi camp?
There is such a thing as Jedi camp, and hopefully
Folks,
one day
I am
can join.
learning so much tonight.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Now, I doubt you would remember a show called This Is Your Life with Ralph Edwards, but I do have that recording of you at Columbus Day. Now, this was outdoors without any special equipment, so certainly, and it's brief, it doesn't do you any justice, but for those listeners who are wondering what I discovered that day and was in such awe, here it is. Now, of course, that was just, in the audience, in the crowd. WHAV was there, and wow. It was so, and we ran it all day on the news because I said that is just too good to use in one newscast. All right, so we have so much more to discuss with Letriah Masters. You just got a very small hint of the talent. We're going to take a break right now for Community Spotlight, heard hourly on WHAV, and we'll be back in just a minute with Letriah Masters.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
WHAV is on Facebook. For quick access, visit whav.net and click on the Facebook icon.
Catch the wave!
Every week on Making Contact, you'll hear voices from the United States and around the globe, speaking on issues vital to all of us.
We report on economic, political, and social trends. We also look at the issues that drive popular movements globally.
You can hear Making Contact on this non-commercial radio station.
Making Contact, Sunday mornings at 7 on 97.9 WHAV.
Community Spotlight.
Hurricane Matthew has devastated communities in Haiti, leaving areas without food, water, or shelter. Kaleem Desur of the Haitian Community Center of Haverhill is seeking money donations for the relief of victims. Gifts of physical goods cannot be accepted because there is no way to deliver them. Donations may be sent to Haitian Community Center of Haverhill, 359 Main Street, Suite 209, Haverhill 01830. For more information, visit HaitianCommunity.org, call 978-893-6228, or email kodaca12@yahoo.com. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email news@WHAV.net.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And this is live, the Open Mic Show on WHAV. All right, those of you watching on WHAV.tv, we have the camera on Letriah Masters. And just so you know what we're doing here, this is live radio, and this is what happens in live radio. We just play it by ear, literally. But just so you know why we're doing this, Letriah Masters and Friends is performing Saturday, November 12th at 6:30 at the Advent Christian Church of Haverhill, 160 Carleton Street. Now, that's toward the Broadway end. Carleton Street runs between Broadway and Lowell Avenue. And so in case you're not familiar with it, Letriah Masters and Friends, and we're going to go, and we're going to hit you with this. What are you about to perform for us?
This is actually an original song that I wrote called The American Dream. And it actually gives you a little sneak peek into about our family. We're a multicultural family. My husband's white and I'm black, and we have these beautiful children, and they look Spanish, so we've got quite the diverse bunch. And it's been a little bit of an interesting road for us, but it's about the pursuit of the American dream, and sometimes how society can be really rough. But in the end of the day, we want our children to know that nothing can hinder them from accomplishing their dreams, and that in itself is the American dream. So that's the song I'm going to sing for you guys today. I'll be performing it at that same coffee house if you want to hear it live again. So
let's take it over the air.
All right. Mama's chocolate, Daddy's freckled, tall and cream. Baby's got the best of both worlds. This is the American dream. Mama sings while Daddy plays the guitar. Baby dances like she's free. No one there to tell her otherwise. This is the American dream. This is the American dream. And oh, we're born into innocence. And when do we learn to be prejudiced? Goes to school and hears of slavery. not a word of the positive things. Guns and wars with rival countries. Is this the American dream? Playgrounds filled with crude graffiti. Pregnant girls at age 13. Massacres in schools like Columbine. Is this the American dream? Is this the American dream? And oh, 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 we're born into innocence. And when, oh, when did we learn to behave like this? And oh, 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 we're born into innocence. And when, oh, when did we learn to behave like this? Is this the American dream? 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 Is this the American? 'Cause oh, 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 we're born into innocence. And when, oh, when did we learn to be prejudiced? And oh, 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 we're born into innocence, yeah. And when, oh, when did we learn to behave like this? Mama sings her darling's lullabies. Daddy comforts when they scream. Both will pray that they will realize that nothing can hinder their dreams. And this is the American dream. American dream. Ooh, yeah,
What a wonderful treat. I feel like Ed Sullivan here. I don't know how many people know who that is anymore, but what a wonderful treat. Letriah Masters, live on WHAV FM 97.9. We're gonna learn more about this great talent in our city. But first, we're gonna take a break for WHAV weather, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:33.
Are you listening to WHAV on cable television? If so, join WHAV in thanking the board, staff, and members of your local public access channel.
Catch the wave!
Suspense, a weekly anthology of notable melodramas from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented every Monday night to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense. Listen to the new Suspense with a company of Hollywood actors and surprising guest stars, Monday nights at 10, with encore performances at 1 a.m., right here on WHAV. Remember, Only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with Wave Weather. For the nighttime hours, generally clear skies, slowly diminishing winds and chilly, low temperatures down between 30 and 35 by morning. During the day Tuesday, a mix of sun and clouds and back up between 50 and 55. Scattered clouds, low 40s on Tuesday night. Wednesday, partly sunny, milder, high temperature, low to mid 60s. This is Gary Best. Your next Wave Weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. I'm your host, Tim Coco, but just really a treat tonight. Letriah Masters here performing the very first live performance on the new 97.9 WHAV FM.
That's right.
Halfway to Boston, and sometimes a little further, depending on weather and so on. We are a local station after all, but still have a really nice footprint for a signal. But before we go on and learn a little more about the background behind that song, you wrote that.
I did.
The music, the words. Mm-hmm. Well, you have to hear the story, but let's first take a telephone call. We have someone who has a birthday wish. You are on the Open Mic.
And I have the one more birthday wish for the month of November.
So this is Brian, one of our regulars, and he's called in a couple of birthdays already.
Happy birthday.
So who's this one for?
Well, you'll see the name Edwin, but I know him as his nickname, Babel.
What is it?
Babel?
Babor?
Picture this. B-E-B-O. Babel.
Babel.
Okay. And see, now, if you ever want to ensure you get a birthday greeting, you get on Brian's list. Because he has a little black book of just about everyone in the city. So when is the birthday?
The 27th.
Of November.
And I think he's going to be 8.
8? Oh, okay. All right. Well, this was a young one. Usually it's one of your many girlfriends, I thought.
Oh, well. Well, I mean, I called you about one of them.
Yes, and actually, according to our records, those went out. So,
well, she never got it anyway.
No, we'll send it again, but it'll say duplicate on it or something, just to distinguish it. Now, I will tell you that I think we've actually improved on our, now that we have a nice volunteer here, Diane, we've improved on getting our winners their letters, but maybe we have to do red envelopes or something so they don't think, oh, there's that HAV asking for something again, or whatever it might be. So, Brian, what did you think of the first live artist on WHAV FM,
Very nice.
Letriah Masters?
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you so much.
I haven't listened to much music in a long time. I'm a musician, too.
You are?
Although I shouldn't.
I didn't know that.
Really claim that because, well, yeah, I went to Berkeley.
Ooh.
I didn't know that. My, this is all these surprises tonight.
It's on the Facebook profile.
Oh, well, maybe I should read a little more carefully. Or I'm just getting so old I forgot.
No, my wife and I were both musicians, and but she used to carry me quite a bit because she could sing, and I couldn't sing unless I had a few drinks with me. So.
Really? So where did you perform? Is it parties at home or?
Around. I didn't really perform much out there, but she did, and she was in several bands and stuff, and so she really had talent. And I still have her Fender Rhodes electric piano in my basement.
Really?
It's been there for a long time.
Wow. All right.
I'm going to sell that, but I'll never sell her Yamaha, though.
Oh, I see. Well, so this is our first birthday call of the night and might be the last one for October. Folks, you still have a chance to call 978-374-1900. Wish someone a happy birthday or a couple a happy anniversary, and they could win a free 7-inch cake from Albide's second generation Italian bakery, 140
South Main Street in Bradford.
Yeah.
And reminding people that it is for the November birthdays and the November anniversaries.
Brian's got it all down. Brian is our backup announcer, or should be.
Job opening. He's
actually been on the program once. We had you on, other than your phone calls, you actually were here once in person.
Yep.
So we ought to do that again and have more, who are those listeners on the phone every week? Bring them into the studio. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, Brian. Anything else on your mind?
No, just the usual stuff.
All right.
That I'll be talking to you about anyway in an offline conversation.
All right, very good. Now we've developed good relationships with all of our listeners. So thank you very much, Brian.
Okay.
All right.
And you have a good evening, and same to you.
Thank you.
Letriah?
Yes, Letriah.
Okay, Letriah. And actually, I have been saying.
Okay.
All right, so there's my fault.
I'm terrible with names.
All right. Very good. Okay, well, thank you very much, Brian.
All right, then.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right, take
Goodbye.
care. All right, so you've been in on our birthday call. You don't have to wear those anymore unless you want to.
All right.
Just that when our mic's on, you can't hear the...
I like accessories, but those aren't quite the kind I usually wear.
No, they're but I have a smaller one that I get to be more vain about. But all right, so that was a very powerful song, and I think even Simon would approve if anyone knows what I'm talking about. But
yeah, that would be amazing if he did.
what was the motivation? I think it's pretty clear what it was, but tell us your thought process and what brought you to write such a moving song with such very, very deep emotions built in.
I've seen over and over that there's periods of our American life that we go through these flows of hatred or old bitterness kind of revving up again, and in the midst of it all, we've got these families that are kind of on both sides. We've got my obvious background being African American, and then my husband is Caucasian, and our children are right there in the middle, and they're so beautiful and amazing. And part of it is remembering my own time in school and hearing about, the slavery stories and African American Black History Month and all that stuff, and how it just never felt very positive when it was talked about, and it just made people more tense around each other. And just seeing everything that's happened in the last year and a half in the American society, it just gets really old. I used to hear all the time about the American dream, and I feel like in the midst of our prosperity, in the midst of our pursuit of, being well-dressed and having the best cars and having these well-built houses, and we have so much, compared to the rest of the world sometimes, and yet have so little when it comes to getting past the basics of life, treating everybody with brotherly kindness and love and acceptance. And I see that though we're pursuing the American dream, the house, the dog, the 2 cars, and a couple of kids, what we really have is a broken society, and it's not really the dream at all. What really the dream is remembering the simplicity of just loving and caring for your family and building from the ground up. If you have a healthy family, you've got a healthy community, and a healthy community builds a healthy society, and it goes from the bottom up. A healthy state, a healthy country, and it's about being satisfied and compassionate right where you are, and teaching our children the value of self-acceptance and forgiveness is a really big deal, knowing that they don't have to thrive off of the bitterness or the past of anything that has ever happened in our country, in our culture, but knowing that nothing can hinder them as long as they put their mind to it. When you build up strong character like that in your own family and you raise it up, then it grows and it produces good seeds, like a tree that, like a sequoia tree. A sequoia tree is huge and has massive roots that grow deep, and it becomes really tall and prominent in society. You can see it from afar. So we want that same type of system in our home. You give your family a good foundation of hope, of love, of compassion, of acceptance. And when you grow it in there and you show them that is the American dream, believe in yourself, love one another, it changes society from the inside out. And that in itself, that's the American dream. What we should be pursuing is that same kindness and acceptance in the home, and then it pushes outward, and nothing will stop us. Nothing can be hindered when we work together. And that brotherly kindness.
Very moving, very moving. And I can see that you're a good storyteller, a very passionate storyteller. All right, let's tell folks about this again. So it's a coffee house, an evening of acoustic live music, but apparently song, storytelling, poetry, and pastry.
And pastries, absolutely. You can't have a coffee house without some coffee and some pastries.
That's right.
There might also be some popcorn there, one of my favorite treats. I like to make homemade popcorn.
I do. So this is Saturday, November 12th.
That's right.
6:30. And it's at the Advent Christian Church, 160 Carleton Street. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a free event.
It is a free event. What they do at these coffee houses, they take an opportunity for people to give for the artists that come. So it's my turn, and I told them that we're putting it on, that if people did want to give a monetary donation, that it was going to go straight to my nonprofit. We've got another holiday season coming up where I want to produce another summer camp. I can't remember. Yes, we did show a photo from that. And so I'll be doing a Christmas camp again this year. And so if you come and you enjoy it and you want to give without any pressure, that's what it's going to produce. It's going to go to helping youth enjoy themselves during the Christmas season.
You know, that's maybe a good segue to go through the rest of these slides. Sure. Maybe you can give us a real quick view now that you can see them on our monitor here, and we'll describe them for our radio listeners. Chris, I don't know which ones we didn't show because we didn't have the monitor up. Why don't you pick one at random, and we'll surprise our guest. We'll surprise our guest. All right, so this looks like the same room anyway as an earlier one. Tell us what's happening here. Lots of young people.
So here these are all the girls from my first summer creative arts camp, and we had a special guest, Liz Bills. She's actually crouching right down in front with the white hat on and a flower dress.
Oh yes.
And me and her go way back. We went to college together, and now she's playing for the the Red Sox, and she's touring in New York and all over our community. She's amazing, but she never forgets to come and say, hey, what can I do to help your nonprofit? So she actually volunteered to come in. We put on a special presentation. Liz Bills.
And it was incredible.
And she talked about her adventures with American Idol and encouraging the kids that no matter what, keep pursuing your dreams. So that's her posing there with all the girls. And on our Photo Fun Day. All
right, and this one is at the Herbert H. Goki Memorial Parking Deck, downtown Haverhill. Pretty colorful summer photo. What's happening here?
So there you see something that you don't normally see that time of the year. I put on a costume karaoke. There was actually a prize for the costume winners. You actually had to sing if you were going to get that prize. You had to perform karaoke in costume for the $50 prize. And we also invited in the band that's in the background. Their name is Endless Tricks. phenomenal group of youth. They were actually no more than 13, 14 years old. They had amazing vocals, harmonies that were well trained, as if they had been doing it all their life. They put on quite a show, and it was a treat to have them as a special guest band on top of costume karaoke.
All right, and then I see your logo in the background, so what is going on here?
So here I got to participate in a recent event called NeighborFest that happened at Mount Washington.
Wonderful.
We were celebrating winning a massive grant to help redeem the area of Mount Washington, which happens to be the worst
Working
neighborhood.
Cities Challenge.
That's right. I was part of the Working Cities team, and that was my deal, to bring the celebration. People were dancing in the streets. We were doing the cha-cha slide. We've got great videos on our Facebook page that you can check out.
I don't know if you caught this, but WHAV is actually now a Mount Washington neighbor, not our studios, but our transmitter.
That's awesome.
So it's good to do that.
Absolutely.
So this has been a real treat. I wish we had more time, but that's one more time. Free. You can make a donation, and there's coffee and pastry. Now that just gets my attention, but
also free.
That's free too?
Yeah, the coffee and the pastry is also free.
Oh, Chris, we're heading over there. All right, no, we'll
You are so welcome to come.
We'll chip in. But a song, storytelling, poetry, pastry, an evening of acoustic live music, Letriah Masters and friends at the Advent Christian Church of Haverhill, 160 Carleton St. That's near Westgate Center, on the way there anyway, in case you don't know, but you can look it up. It's a free event, and it takes place Saturday, November 12th, 6:30. If you like what you heard tonight, and we certainly didn't have all of the right acoustics to make this perfect, but I think it sounded so great that it can only sound better. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add in maybe the minute we have?
I just thank you guys for, allowing me to come in once again and participate in WHAV. I know that I have an opportunity to come back and share, but, just know that any of you, you're welcome to come. There's no pressure. Once again, it's not about giving really that night. If that happens, that's a bonus. But really, you'll get to hear a side of me that you've never heard. I'll be sharing some very deep stories, some more originals, and just to have a really fun night. And you'll get to meet my family as well. So come on now and have a good time. Why not? It's free.
And it sounds like you're making Haverhill into the place you were hoping it would be. So thank you.
I haven't been disappointed by Haverhill. I loved Haverhill.
Well, thank you so much. Letriah Masters here on WHAV. What a treat. You want to hear that again, repeat, assuming we have the rights, tomorrow on YouTube, you'll be able to see the entire video of tonight's program.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. So we'll be back in a minute. We're going to take a break for a movie review. We'll be right back.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
97.9 FM, WHAV.
Johnny Dollar.
Johnny Dollar, in spite of writing the fanciest expense accounts in the industry, is in high demand by his employers. He's a freelance insurance investigator on the job only when the stakes are sky high. When murder or fraud covers a venal grab for profits, it's Johnny's job to jolt the facts from those involved. Detective work in all corners of the world is a specialty for yours truly, Johnny Dollar, one of your great Sunday listening treats on CBS Radio.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, airs at 10 p.m. Sunday night with an encore performance at 1 a.m.
The
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Kim Lowe. This week, A Bloody Ledger. For all its flaws, The Accountant is a worthwhile film, if only because the main character has a disability that isn't portrayed as a total detriment. Specifically, the title character, Accountant Christian Wolf, is on the autism spectrum. As a result, he speaks with a flat affect, barely makes eye contact, and has no significant personal relationships. Still, he's a whiz at math and manages to succeed in a business that has a lot of casualties. Namely, he works for warlords, mafioso, and other unsavory types who need to have their dirty money laundered. Thanks to his smarts, he manages to avoid being caught. On one so-called legitimate assignment, however, while working as a forensic accountant to find out how some funds have disappeared from a high-tech research firm, his whole world is threatened, as is that of an innocent bystander and potential love interest played by the underrated Anna Kendrick. Add to this a pair of Treasury agents who are trying to track down the mysterious accountant, and the film provides some moments of real suspense and tense action. While the storyline may have its share of plot holes and the final twist seems a little absurd even for a movie, Ben Affleck's well-nuanced performance as Christian more than makes up for this. Affleck, who showed he actually could act in 2014's Gone Girl, obviously did his research for this role. Despite having a disability, his condition is never the main focus, nor is it ever in danger of overshadowing the character. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but The Accountant manages to be a smart, interesting, and suspenseful movie. At the very least, it's not a typical paint-by-numbers film. This has been Take Two Movie Review. I'm Kim Lowe. Catch up with us at take2moviereview.com and feed us back on our page on YouTube.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco at whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic Show. What a treat that was. Letriah will be coming back. Well, we might have to kidnap her, but we just want all that talent for ourselves and our listeners. So that is just wonderful. Thank you. So don't forget, Saturday, November 12th, 6:30 p.m., Advent Christian Church, 160 Carleton Street in Haverhill, Coffee House. Everything's free. If you want to make a contribution, you can do that. Certainly would be welcome. Now, speaking of other events coming up in Haverhill, we want to make sure this is your local radio station. This is the Haverhill station, although heard in all of the surrounding communities now on 97.9 FM WHAV. Okay, here's some other stuff coming up. Thursday, November 10th, 7:30 in the morning. The Rotary Club of Haverhill is having its first annual Veterans Day Awards Breakfast. This is just going to be another great thing for Haverhill. Congresswoman Nikki Songus, senior member of the House Armed Services Committee, is going to speak. There's going to be a salute to veterans and presentation of awards, the Community Service Award, the Service to Youth Award, and the Lifetime Service Award. Rotary Club of Haverhill, first annual Veterans Day Awards Breakfast, Thursday, November 10th, 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning, Haverhill Golf and Country Club, 58 Brickett Lane. Full breakfast, and it's only $25 a person. Certainly can't be missed. First annual Veterans Day Awards Breakfast by the Rotary Club of Haverhill, Thursday, November 10th, 7:30, Haverhill Golf and Country Club. Congresswoman Nikki Songus will speak. That's another. Now, coming up this week, November 3rd, a fundraiser for the Cogswell Art Space. That's in the former Cogswell School. To convert this into a performing arts center, they're having an event at a very interesting idea. It's called Artful Flowers by Flowers by Steve. Artful Flowers by Flowers by Steve in support of the Cogswell Art Space. Now, this takes place 7 o'clock. Thursday, is it Thursday, November 3rd? Help me out with my calendar. Thursday, November 3rd. This is the first time this calendar's come in handy. You should look at the phone or something. Thursday, November 3rd, 7 o'clock at night. Tickets are $40 each, but supports a great cause in support of the Cogswell Art Space. Artful Flowers by Steve. This all takes place at Flowers by Steve, 14 Cross Road. That's right here in Ward Hill, 14 Cross Road. Steve Janovikas of Flowers by Steve is opening his shop to lead a demonstration of floral arrangements to show his support for the Cogswell Art Space initiative. Steve will lead guests through his process of floral arranging. Now, if you haven't seen Steve Janovikas' floral arrangements, you just have not seen an arrangement at all, because these are so unique. His choices, I can't do it justice by describing it, but his choices, his blends, his displays, and it looks like he's going to be giving away some trade secrets that night. Thursday, November 3rd, 7 o'clock, Flowers by Steve, 14 Cross Road. Proceeds to benefit the new Cogswell Art Space that's under development. There'll be fall arrangements that will be raffled off at the end of the night, so you can even take one of these things home. Light desserts. Everyone's talking about food tonight. I mean, I've lost 20 pounds. I mean, you guys are just tempting me. Light desserts, coffee, wine provided for guests. Tickets have to be purchased in advance, though. So why don't, it's funny, this is one of those addresses you can't possibly describe on the phone, on the air, but look it up. And it's called Artful Flowers by Steve. I'm sure Steve Janovikas would take calls at Flowers by Steve if you have more information, but they do want tickets purchased in advance. Maybe I can have Chris put in, this is one of those shortcut addresses. But in any event, so much more coming up on the Open Mic Show, our final half hour coming up after local news. The hallmark of WHAV FM 97.9, local news, local weather, all local. Here at WHAV, we'll be right back.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 8:01.
Radiating from high above the Queen Slipper City on Silver Hill. This is WHAV LP Haverhill, Greater Haverhill's home for information and entertainment.
Here's what's happening in local news. 2 area women face drug dealing charges after their arrests by Haverhill police Sunday evening. Yanirius Vargas Roman, 26, of Lawrence, and Carrie Sue Johnson, 36, of Plastow, New Hampshire, were arrested at 5:33 p.m. Sunday at 784 River Street. Vargas Roman was charged with distribution of a Class B drug, 2 counts of drug possession with intent to distribute, and conspiracy to violate drug laws. Johnson was charged with possession of a Class B drug and conspiracy to violate drug laws. Both are due to be arraigned in Haverhill District Court. In other police news, Matthew Giddings, 33, of Newton, New Hampshire, was arrested at 3:32 p.m. Sunday at 106 Bank Road. He was charged with receiving stolen property, credit card fraud, identity fraud, and possession of a Class A drug. Robert Durney, 64, of North Andover, was arrested Saturday at 8:32 p.m. at 2 Hilldale Avenue and charged with driving under the influence of liquor.
Business Bulletin.
In local business notes, Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce members have an opportunity to learn more about the new 97.9 WHAV Thursday, November 10, when the radio station and DeBurro's Function facility host a business networking mixer. WHAV staff will be on hand to explain how businesses may submit their news to the nonprofit radio station and take advantage of other opportunities to reach the public, recruit employees, and create community goodwill. The mixer, which takes place between 5 and 7 p.m., features complimentary food and beverages from DeBurro's. Tickets are $10 for Merrimack Valley Chamber members and $20 for non-members, and may be obtained by visiting merrimackvalleychamber.com or calling 978-686-0900. John Greenleaf Whittier's great-great-grandfather played critical roles in the early history of Haverhill, members of the Haverhill-Whittier Club learned Sunday. While it had been established that Thomas Whittier built the homestead in 1688, where the famous poet was born more than a century later, little was known about the patriarch's role in community affairs. Gathering for the 132nd annual meeting of the Haverhill-Whittier Club, members heard from Mandy Whittier Breton, a descendant of Thomas Whittier.
There has been a descendant of Thomas Whittier living in Haverhill since the city was formed. They moved to Haverhill about 10 years after the city was formed, but since then continuously.
Breton, a fifth-grade teacher at Bradford Elementary School who continues to live in Haverhill, revealed interesting facts. Thomas Whittier was 68 years old when he built his homestead near today's Merrimack line. He chose the location near Fernside Brook for its access to fresh water and power for his grist mill, Breton said. More interestingly, however, he was long involved in the town's governance. The elder Whittier arrived in Haverhill in 1638. He served multiple terms as a selectman between 1656 and 1687 and moderator for several terms. He declined to serve as constable in 1669, but agreed to help find someone to take the job. Knowing of John Greenleaf Whittier's commitment to equality, Breton said she was pleased to find the trait ran in the family. In 1681, she explained, Thomas Whittier was selected to serve on a committee to repair the meeting house and make room for women.
Which I find to be kind of appropriate for a Whittier to be repairing and restoring a meeting house to allow women in equality to be able to come along.
97.9 WHAV will broadcast Breton's complete Whittier Club address Wednesday night, November 2nd at 7 p.m. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmel.
From Feature Story News in Los Angeles, I'm Patrice Howard. The White House is defending the director of the FBI after Democrats accused him of trying to influence the outcome of America's presidential election. FBI agents are beginning to sift through thousands of emails in a bid to discover whether they provide any fresh information about Hillary Clinton's handling of classified information when she was Secretary of State. FSN's Simon Marks reports.
The White House stepped in to defend FBI Director James Comey after a top Democrat accused him of breaking the law by relaunching the investigation into Mrs. Clinton. White House spokesman Josh Earnest.
The president doesn't believe that he's secretly strategizing to benefit one candidate or one political party. He's in a tough spot.
Now, with 8 days to go, Democrats and Republicans alike are waiting for a raft of fresh polling data to see whether the FBI's decision is moving votes away from Hillary Clinton. Simon Marks, Washington.
The United Nations child agency UNICEF estimate that 1 in 7 children around the world live in areas with high levels of air pollution. Children are believed to be impacted most by high levels of pollution, and the UN agency urges world powers to commit to using cleaner energy. FSN's William Denslow reports.
Roughly 300 million children live in areas with pollution levels at least 6 times higher than guidelines set by the World Health Organization. By using satellite imagery, the United Nations children's agency UNICEF also estimate that 220 million of those children live in South Asia. UNICEF state that pollution is a major factor in the deaths of about 600,000 children under 5 years old each year. Nearly 200 governments will meet in Morocco in November to discuss global warming. And UNICEF urged them to move away from fossil fuels to reduce the global exposure to pollution. William Denslow, New York.
Marcelo Crivella, an evangelical bishop, has been elected as the mayor of Rio de Janeiro. Crivella's victory shows the growing influence of the evangelical church in the world's largest Roman Catholic country. FSN's Andrea Arenas reports.
Crivellà's victory shows that there is a rightward shift in Brazilian politics following the 13-year political domination of the leftist Workers' Party. The 59-year-old bishop has become a controversial figure in the country's political landscape, having criticized homosexuality and Catholicism, which is the dominant religion in Brazil. Crivellà has promised to bring law, order, and basic sanitation needs to Rio de Janeiro's poorest areas. Experts say that the bishop's victory was in part the result of voter anger over a second year of economic recession and the revelation of a huge corruption scandal that involved members of the left-wing Workers' Party.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather. For the nighttime hours, generally clear skies, slowly diminishing winds and chilly, low temperatures down between 30 and 35 by morning. During the day Tuesday, a mix of sun and clouds and back up between 50 and 55. Scattered clouds, low 40s on Tuesday night. Wednesday, partly sunny, milder, high temperature, low to mid 60s. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
This is Pacifica Radio for the Merrimack Valley. WHAV.
WHAV. Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I'm your host, Tim Coco. Chris, is my camera okay? I guess it is. All right. Just by luck, I moved it quickly into place for those who are watching on WHAV.tv. Okay, WHAV is not running a live Facebook stream tonight. We found it was using too many resources for what is available to us in this business park. But I'd like to hear more from some of you who are in your cars. And Chris, I don't know, maybe you know, or maybe one of our listeners knows, isn't there some way to get like a shortcut dial number so people can just, dial, WHA1 or something and get call in without having to dial all the digits? Or maybe there's a way to text things in. We'll have to work on some of the technical ways, because I know many of you are in your car saying, well, I don't want to drive and talk at the same time or whatever, or I can't dial while I'm coming down 495. But I have heard from some of you with just little quick messages on Facebook and what have you. And, if you're listening to WHAV or maybe just getting home, why don't you give us a call, 978-374-1900. This is local radio. This is what public radio is. Nonprofit, 97.9 WHAV. You hear with local talent. I think we made a discovery tonight. I'm sure she's been discovered by others, but for our listeners, pretty incredible live music right here from our own WHAV Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom studio. Quite a treat. Letriah Masters on the program tonight. Okay, we told you about some other events, but the news today, WHAV brought you, you've just heard Dana with some of this. Really sad story. An 8-year-old child with a brain tumor has lost the ability to speak and to see. If you can help, visit WHAV.net. There's a link to GoFundMe to help that family. Perhaps you want to discuss that. Other news stories. Former Haverhill Mayor John Guerin is going to be head of membership of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. Once again, we hear from the superfine class of 1979 in our community. Tom Sullivan made a mention of this at last week's City Council meeting. He's another member of the class of 79. John Guerin was our class president. Ken Quimby was honored by the City Council as the honorary 10th counselor. He was in the class of 79 as well. Now, maybe we're almost, not quite, on par with the illustrious class of 1939. Well, I bet Jim would have something to say about that. So, but we have a phone call, right? So let's go to the phones. You are on the Open Mic Show. You're on the Open Mic.
Hi, this is Nancy Jones. Tim Coco ran a story today about my friend Elisa Solish.
Actually, we just discussed
his
that.
8-year-old son. Is this Tim?
This is Tim. I just mentioned that. It's funny you called. So, yes, Nancy, you were very, very helpful.
You were very, very helpful. I know it was a lot of work, and we were kind of going back and forth last night. And, I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate all you did.
Well, we appreciate your bringing this to our attention. I think communities come together in a crisis, and this certainly is a crisis. Now, this family, if you have a second, why don't you tell us, this family has been stricken before, and the mother and another daughter that passed away 10 years ago. Tell us what you can about this tragic situation.
Okay, well, me and her have been friends since kindergarten. We met then, and
at Tilton School.
We've been friends for a very long time, and yes, she's about my age. I'm 43, so she had a daughter and a son she had a son at first, and then a daughter a few years later that are let me see, the son now is probably 24, 25, and the daughter was would have been a few years younger than that, but she ended up passing away at 11 due to bone cancer, and just
tragedy.
And throughout, and about 24 years old, Alicia, the mother, she had cancer. I don't know which kind she had then. But then she did have breast cancer and another type of cancer just recently that she's in remission for. But her 8-year-old son now has brain cancer, and it's a rare aggressive form. So the Massachusetts hospitals, which are great hospitals, they just exhausted all the options they had, because this is so rare. They don't know what to do with it or where else to take it. They just did, the standard care, removal as much of the tumor as they could from his brain, chemo, radiation, and now they're just at a standstill on it.
And all of these expenses accruing on this poor family, and a GoFundMe page has been set up. I think the address, it might be just easier to refer people to the story at WHAV.net, and you can click right within the story.
Correct.
Unless there is a easier way to do that. But you can also just search at GoFundMe for Jeremiah. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that. I've never searched anybody on that, so I don't know how that works. So I do agree that the WHAV.net would be the easiest way to locate his story, and that has the GoFundMe connected to it. So I do agree with you on that. I don't know how it works.
That might be the easiest way.
Yeah, I do think so myself.
But Nancy,
I have been in contact with her, and she's just really busy with him right now. Things are going on, that are mentioned in the story, and he's just, she's just trying to do everything she can.
Well, Nancy, I want to thank you, and I think all the people of Haverhill would like to thank you for bringing this story to the public's attention, and for your passion about it and your assistance in assembling it. And really, we are very grateful here, and I'm sure the entire community is grateful for you spreading the word. This is certainly not a time for a family to be alone, and I think with friends like you, Alicia really couldn't do much better, and we're so pleased we're able and willing to share this very important story with WHAV listeners.
Well, I thank you very much, too, because, you've done a lot. And, with her, she's remarkable for everything she's been through. And her faith is remarkable, and that's what keeps her going. And her thing is trying to find some sort of experimental treatment with her son. She knows that by doing that, she can also save somebody else, because this is so rare that, to try to find something that would figure things out with his rare condition, so she is thinking in that way too, that she can possibly save somebody else.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. If this information can be shared, it can also help another family.
Exactly, and that's what she's on. So she truly is remarkable. She's I don't know what I would do if I was in her situation.
No, it's incredible. But Nancy, we really do appreciate your being a good neighbor, and we appreciate.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate all of your. I'll definitely keep in touch with you and let you know what's going on. Through our messages.
And we are very grateful. And
thank you so much.
And thank you very much for sharing again. Again, folks, visit WHAV.net. It's one of the major stories today. Click. There's a picture of Jeremiah. Click. There's a link to GoFundMe if you can help this family during this most trying of times. Really, and again, thank you, Nancy, for bringing this to the attention of the public. You are truly helping a community as well as a family. Thank you
so much. I appreciate it. I'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Nancy, just a great community servant, lives in Haverhill, brought this story to WHAV's attention, and you see it at WHAV.net if you want to get to the link. Otherwise, you can search Jeremiah on the GoFundMe site. Certainly, very, very difficult time for this family, and we're appreciative. Okay, folks, I'm going to give you one more minute to call in your happy birthday anniversary wish. Just call 978-374-1900. If you know someone having a birthday in November or a couple having an anniversary in November, just call, say your greeting, and they could be eligible to win a 7-inch cake, choice of vanilla or chocolate, donated by Albee Second Generation Italian Bakery, 140 South Main Street in Bradford. And Brian knew the address, too. All right, let's take a brief break for Community Spotlight. Get your calls in now. We're going to do the drawing next.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Your membership enables WHAV to remain local and independent. Consider joining at WHAV.net.
Catch the wave!
The most trusted man in America, news anchor Walter Cronkite, once said, "It is absolutely essential in a democracy to have competition in the media, a lot of competition." That sentiment is one of the driving forces behind WHAV's expanded local news effort. This is News Director Dana S. inviting you to listen to my hourly weekday newscasts right here on WHAV. You'll also find the area's most comprehensive local news reporting at WHAV.net on your computer or smartphone. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free.
It is.
Community Spotlight.
A brain injury support group for survivors and caregivers takes place on the second Tuesday of each month. The group meets from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Whittier Rehabilitation Hospital, Seminar Room, 145 Ward Hill Ave, Bradford. Groups are hosted by the Brain Injury Association of Massachusetts. More information is available by calling Tress Ricker at 800-242-0030 extension 13 or Caroline Keeney, Whittier Rehab Hospital at 978-469-1453. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email news@WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Diane Carr.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 974-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic Show. Special thanks to Chris in Master Control, the man with radio jobs, most of them unpaid. He was actually heard this weekend, as always, almost always, WMEX 1510 between 3 and 6 p.m. with an oldies show. Now, we don't normally promote other radio stations, but with the money that we pay Chris, well, we ought to give him something, right? So Chris, all right, we have a birthday caller on the phone. You are on the Open Mic Show.
Hi, I'm just calling to wish my Aunt Gail a happy birthday.
Your aunt?
Be
Yes?
What?
I'm sorry.
She will be 60 years young on November 7th.
All righty, Aunt Gail.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you very much. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Plastown, New Hampshire.
All right, you listening to us on the radio?
Yes, I am.
Very, very good. Okay, one of our listeners, WHAV 97.9. Well, happy birthday, Aunt Gail. What day is her birthday?
November 7th.
November 7th, coming up fast. Well, Thank you very much for your phone call, and thank you for listening to WHAV. We're going to draw the name in just a minute, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, another FM listener. All right, we have the name's been added to the hat. Chris, you've got that in here, right? Okay, so we get quite a few this month. I'm going to turn a few more around. Okay, everybody. Okay. Gonna reach in, pick one out. Let's see what we got for a birthday. All right, so here we are. The winner this month is Edwin. Edwin of Haverhill has won the Albany Generation Italian Bakery Cake Contest for November. And we got to put on here a reminder of when the birthday is. So happy birthday, Edwin. This is another Brian one? Yeah. All right, folks. See, Brian champion. This is another one of his. So, of course, I don't know why no one shares their cake with Brian, but so Brian, congratulations. You have the lucky hand here in getting in another winner. All right. So happy birthday, Edwin. This is our new updated system of making sure we get these things out on time. We make a note on this. We're also going to follow up on some others that say they didn't get their letter, but we'll take care of that too. So congratulations, Edwin and Brian. You're keeping track of them. That's pretty cool. All right. So next week, hard to believe we're in November. Next week we begin the December birthdays and anniversaries. Chris, your birthday in December? No. All right. He just what? winter. Okay, Chris is not looking forward to the winter, and I understand that. And now that we have a transmitter on top of Silver Hill, I'm not sure I'm looking forward to going up there. You know, we know what happens. It's kind of like your water heater in your house. They never go at 5 in the afternoon. No, things go wrong at 4 in the morning. I don't know what it is. Matter of fact, not last Friday, the Friday before, I'm losing track of the weeks. What do you know? We had this big cyber attack, not on HAV, but on the internet in general. Google took the hit. Company in Manchester, New Hampshire, does some processing for Google. And at 4:30 in the morning, that's exactly when it was. Like I said, never 5 in the afternoon. 4:30 in the morning, I got a phone call that our transmitter is down. Well, as it turns out, the transmitter was up, but the ability to reach it over the internet was the problem. So it's funny how this works. Okay, we are just about out of time. Just want a reminder, this Wednesday night, 97.9 WHAV is going to present a recent address, the one that took place yesterday, the Haverhill-Whittier Club by Breton. Breton is a descendant of Thomas Whittier, who built what would become the birthplace of his great-great-grandson, John Greenleaf Whittier. Well, Mandy Whittier Breton had so many interesting facts, we thought we had to broadcast this. It will be on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. 97.9 WHAV. And why don't we go out with Gus Roosh reading The Poor Voter by John Greenleaf Whittier. See you next week on the radio.
Proudest now is but my peer, thou art not more high. Today, of all the weary year, a king of men am I. Today, alike are great and small, the nameless and the known. My palace is the people's hall, the ballot box my throne. Who serves today upon the list beside the served shall stand, alike the brown and wrinkled fist, the gloved and dainty hand. The rich is level with the poor, the weak is strong today, and sleekest broadcloth counts no more than homespun frock of gray. Today, let pomp and vain pretense my stubborn abide. I set a plain man's common sense against the pedant's pride. Today shall simple manhood try the strength of gold and land. The wide world has not wealth to buy the power in my right hand. While there's a grief to seek redress, or balance to adjust, where weighs our living manhood less than mammon's vilest dust. While there's a right to need my, a wrong to sweep away, up clouted knee and ragged coat, a man's a man today.
Open mic!
Join Tim Coco live again next Monday night at 6:30. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of WHAV, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.